This What's Working with Cam Marston podcast is brought to you courtesy of Michelob Ultra Beer.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Welcome, everyone, to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is the radio show / podcast designed to bring you workplace, workforce, and marketplace trends that are impacting the workplace, the workforce, and the marketplace around you. I try to find the guests that have the stories to tell that can teach us something that will make each of us a little bit better at whatever it is that we do. Again, welcome. I'm glad you're on for the ride. It's remarkable to me the amount of time post-COVID, and perhaps I've said this in previous shows, it's remarkable to me the number of times post-COVID that culture, workplace culture, has come to the surface of conversations. And as I was telling someone not long ago, if you had asked me pre-COVID, I would have said it's one of the top 5, 6 things of a workplace is culture. Post-COVID, and I'm not exactly sure what COVID did, but post-COVID, it's become number one. And I think it's because of the competitive workplace environment or the competitive work environment. People can find jobs. And the employers that are out there that have figured out how to keep people have realized that culture is a big part of it. And there are workplaces that will say culture is a big part of what it is that we do. And that saying that we've all heard so many times, people are our most important asset, but there's nothing to back it up. There's no behavior that backs it up. And if you ask the people, hey, your CEO, your leader, your boss, your manager just said people are your most important assets. Do you feel that way? They'd laugh and roll their eyes. And then you find an organization that has put their money where their mouth is and that has actually been recognized for doing exactly that, for putting their money where their mouth is. And he is going to be representing his organization when we get back from break. His name is Patrick Werrlein. He is the president and owner of the Sales and Service Center for a company called Swagelok out of Birmingham. They won the Business Alabama Best Places to Work in the State of Alabama award that was handed out, I believe, in December, and he was featured in the January issue of Business Alabama, as well as the other winners across the state. When I spoke to Patrick in anticipation of getting him on the show, one of the things that he said that I'm going to try to tap into when he gets on the line here in a little bit is one of the things he said was we couldn't have won this organization or we couldn't have won this award when I became leader of the company. When I bought this organization, we weren't in a position to win this. And in that amount of time, I want to say it was about 6 years, the culture of the company has changed. Now, there have been 2 other guests on the show, and I plan a further one in the future when I can get him lined up. 2 other guests on the show that were very proud of the culture of their organization. One was Billy Duran of Threaded Fasteners, and he was the first to say that his primary job is to maintain the company culture. When the company culture is as best as it can be, it will result in higher retention levels, higher ease of hiring people, and it will result in the sales and the margins that they need to keep going. Culture is a part of that stability and that success. And Billy Duran, as the president of Threaded Fasteners, says his job, more than anything else with the title of president, his job is to maintain that culture. The other one is Ty Bullard Automotive here in Mobile. And Ty is very proud of the culture his organization he's created, or actually, I think it was created before him, in that organization that he now leads. Culture is a big part of what we do. And I said, Ty, what's the motto of your organization? He says, do what's right because it's the right thing to do. And Ty lives it and breathes it. I'm fortunate to call him a friend, and I know that's who he is to his core. So it's a culture conversation coming up. The man that I hope to get on the show here in the future is a professor at the London School of Economics, as well as the Kellogg School of Business. And he travels the country, teaches graduate-level business courses on company culture. I had a Zoom call with him the other day. We're both going to be presenters at a conference upcoming, and I could tell immediately he's going to be a great guest on the show, and he has already said yes. When we come back from break, I will be on the line with Patrick Werrlein, who's the president and owner of Swagelok Sales and Service Center in Birmingham, winner of Business Alabama's Small to Medium-Sized Business of the Year for Best Places to Work in the state of Alabama. We'll be right back after this break with a very compelling conversation about company culture.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
We're back from break, and I'm happy to have Patrick Werrlein on the phone with me. He and his company, Swagelok, based in Birmingham, a sales and service center based in Birmingham, was one of the best places to work in the state of Alabama by Business Alabama magazine. And when I reached out to him and said, Patrick, are you willing to tell your story? How did this happen? What is the process of earning that title? He was more than eager to tell me. And he touched some things that I'm hearing more and more frequently on the street when I talk to business owners and leaders, and that is this word that I think is going to become omnipresent in all business conversations, culture. Patrick, welcome to What's Working. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Cam. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, let's begin by telling the audience about Swagelok and your Birmingham facility and the parent organization. Let's begin there.
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. It started, well, for me, in 2003, we started a family business, hose assemblies, and we subsequently sold this business in 5 years to Swagelok. And I had a 5-year employment contract, and it was traveling the world. My responsibility at that time was around integrating these hose assemblies into their product portfolio and then commercializing them. I was traveling the world, and the way that Swagelok goes to market is through independent, exclusive sales and service centers, and that's where I am today, owning one of them. But these businesses are designed for speed, agility, and to be really close to the customers. And so through this process of commercializing my family's products, I got a chance to spend a lot of time in these sales and service centers, and felt like that was a good fit for me long term. So I worked hard to put myself in a position where I could purchase one, and which subsequently ended up doing in 2017 for the one here in Birmingham. So I'll share with you a little bit of Swagelok, what we do as an organization. We help customers move fluid through some of the most critical applications in the world.
Oh, here we go. This is curious to me. Give me an example.
Yeah, okay. So being that we're locally, we all hear a lot about the race to space, right? So companies, NASA, Blue Origin, SpaceX, and so forth. Well, Huntsville, they do the rocket design, they build and test, and then we also have responsibilities for Florida. So we have the Cape Canaveral launch. So we are very much involved in the race to space. Those are some critical applications. We also hear a lot about energy transition, so finding cleaner energy sources, CNG, hydrogen, and so forth. Power generation customers, so locally Alabama Power. Our products, right? So it's fittings, tubing, hoses, regulators, valves, and subsystems that we build go into very critical applications where you absolutely cannot have leakage, where we have to keep people safe. We have to help our customers have uptime. and also help them innovate. So yeah, in essence, that's what we do. I tell you, Cam, we're not cool, but our customers certainly are.
I love that description. I think it's pretty cool to know somebody whose product has entered outer space. You would be the first one on my list.
We actually are on the space station and very much involved in everything that we get a chance to see on the news. It is very rewarding for us.
That's great. Congratulations. I watch these liftoffs in amazement that we can do that humans have the capability to do that. But now I'm going to watch them with amazement and say, hey, I know a guy that's got stuff on that thing that's helped build it, that has supplied some of the tubing and hoses in there. And that makes me like it even more. So let's get into the Business Alabama Award and recognition. Tell us a little bit about that. And then I want to hear about the application process and the transformation that your organization went through when you stepped in and where it is now and how it positions you for this award. So first, tell us about the award.
Yeah, sure. So I am still, as you can imagine, on cloud nine. This has been something that we've set out to do a long time ago, and it's been a collective effort. So, yeah, I would say, Cam, the award itself and being recognized for this is it's a result of a journey, right? As you can imagine, and it's very similar to a sports trophy, if you will, where you actually have something tangible to represent all of the body of work that the team has put together, the blood, sweat, and tears, and the grind that happens to be able to have a tangible representation or output of that is really what this means to us as an organization, and something that, again, I knew we could do someday, but I knew 6 years ago we weren't equipped to do so.
Yeah.
And so that by it's a pride thing for us as an organization. But I guess to answer your question, though, on the process for it.
Yeah. What did you have to do to apply? And tell me how you were selected. Do you know much about the selection process?
Yeah, a little bit. Actually, the funny story here is, and we'll get into our culture discussion, is the team surprised me with the submittal on this. They were doing it as a present to me, which was, I think, is by itself pretty special. But so the process for it is you initially have to submit, you give a little bit of profile of your company and you highlight some things. So there's an initial front-end filtration system that they will do to make sure that the applicants actually have some opportunity to actually win this thing, or they're doing some benchmarkable things today, right? So you start there, and then when you make it through the first wave, what they do is there's actually it's a questionnaire that goes out to everyone on your team, and at their own will, they answer the questions, right? And so questions are around, you do a ranking system on alignment, cascading of messaging, leadership, benefits, all the different things that build up to a company that could essentially be benchmarkable. Then they also have some open-ended questions around, very similar things, leadership, how things are shared, being able to feel empowered, enabled, and to be successful. And so to be able to have enough of a sample size, it's 40% of your team has to fill out this survey.
Let me get you to pause. Patrick, I want to pause real quick. If you're just tuning in, Patrick Werrlein is on the line with me. His company, Swagelok, based in Birmingham, where he is the owner and president, won one of the best places to work in Alabama from Business Alabama magazine. Patrick, you were one of the small to medium-sized category. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and so they sent an application or not an application, but they sent a questionnaire to everyone on your team with a minimum of 40% having to respond. You must have been a little bit nervous about that. Obviously, it worked out well, but how did you feel when that went out?
Yeah, it seems like a low number, right, by most, but again, this is at their own will doing it, and it's pretty significant. So there is a chance that you could have less than 40%.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I'd proudly let you know that we had an 87%
nice
fill-out rate, which was pretty remarkable.
Yeah. So tell me how the news came to you. Some of the questions were open-ended. Some of the questions were ranking questions. How did the news come to you? And I really want to get into the culture that you said 6 years ago wouldn't have won this award. And maybe we do that in the next segment. But the culture, the way it was and what you did to change it. But tell me how the news came to you that you had been selected, this great moment of pride.
Sure. Yeah. So we got a notification that it's been accepted, and that we were invited to the event. I think it was actually on December 1st, and so as a finalist. And so a finalist, as you mentioned earlier, we were small to medium-sized business, so up to 249 employees. Being a finalist, this means that you're in the top 10, right? And so, which by itself, we knew, wow, there's a high sense of accomplishment just to be a finalist. And so we were invited to this event on December 1st, and so we were just excited to be able to participate there. Well, I got to tell you, so when I arrived at the event, Cam, one of the gentlemen said, "Would you be willing to say anything, when we hand out the awards?" So at that point, it's enough common sense to put two and two together and say, "Wow, I think we placed very high up, still not knowing that we won."
Right.
So obviously, when they were calling the group, being that we were small to medium size, we went first, and they were going. It was counting down. The anticipation. You start at 10, 9, 8, and so we got to 3, then 2, and when we were number 2, we knew we were number 1.
Yeah.
So it was really exciting to actually get first place in that category.
Patrick, that's great. Congratulations. How many of your team did you have with you that evening?
There's a total of 4 of us with us for the event, right? And as you can imagine, it's hard to figure out who goes and who doesn't go. There was limited spots available for the event, but I got to tell you, Cam, I accepted the award myself, but it was there on behalf of every single person on this team that got us to that point. It was one of the highlights of my career.
It's a great story, Patrick. Let's talk about the culture after the break. You're listening to What's Working. I'm on the line with Patrick Werrlein. He's the owner and president of the Sales and Service Center for Swagelok in Birmingham. We'll be back after this break. Sitting with Cajun Mike, owner E3 Termite and Pest Control. Cajun Mike, there are people I know that think their house is fully protected because there's some bait stations around the house. What's your thoughts?
My thought personally is bait stations do work. However, I do not believe in them as a standalone product.
What else do they need?
We do 3, 4, sometimes 5 or 6 treatments on a house. We will do a true liquid perimeter treatment. We do hollow void treatments, and we use bore care on wood when we can access it.
It's a thorough treatment, top to bottom, it sounds like, much more so than the bait station.
That is correct.
How do they find you, Cajun Mike?
They can find me at 251-850-PEST or e3pest.com.
e3pest.com. Patrick Werrlein is on the line with me. He's the owner-president of the Sales and Service Center for Swagelok. He and his team won one of the best places to work in the state of Alabama, and it's featured in Business Alabama magazine in January. They won the small to medium-sized category of up to 250 people. And Patrick, prior to the break, you said something that really piqued my interest. It's what you and I talked about a little bit in the call to prepare for this call, and that is 6 years ago, there's no way you would have won the award. Tell me about the organization 6 years ago and what you and your team have done to get it to where it is today.
Sure. Yeah. So 6 years ago, when I first came into the business, in fairness of the organization, it was a well-oiled machine even 6 years ago. But I think there's the cultural, structural type of piece of the business really needed some enhancement. So I knew we were going to have to make some difficult changes with personnel and structure if we wanted to better align to the key initiatives and align to what I knew this company could be, right? And so, you know, as most of your listeners probably know, you know, the easy way isn't the best way, and the easy way probably isn't going to yield the best results. And so it's no different when it comes to culture. There's not a whole lot of shortcuts in doing so, you know, and you got to be really intentional with every little thing you do.
Describe that culture 6 years ago.
Yeah, the culture 6 years ago, I would say it was more around maybe the people that you didn't have the right people on the bus. You use that business analogy. So you end up getting, or maybe some are rowing the boat, working harder than others, and so it creates a sense of, you know, maybe animosity across teams or functions and all that. And so, you know, the aspiration was to have one cohesive unit aligned in higher levels of empathy and being able to get stuff done. So, again, the key for us early on was just to make sure that we identify who we are and who we want to be.
Yeah.
And then, you know, who's on the bus, who needs to get off the bus, in a humane way, of course. And then, you know, once we have the right people on the bus, where do we want to put them? What seat is best for them for the current state, but also, you know, designing an organization for your future need.
I'm going to stop you real quick. I want to stop you real quick and go back to something you said a moment ago. Who we are and who we want to be. Who came up with that? Was that you plus your team came up with who you are and who you wanted to be? Or is this you as the owner and president, you're going to make that decision and hope it filters down? How did that conversation go down?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty collective effort. When I first came on, interviewed with everyone. I mean, and you'll find that's a pretty common theme in how we run this business. It's you know, it's a lot of working together, listening and understanding. So I had a chance, quite frankly, just to listen to people. Like, you know, who are you? What do you want to be?
Yeah.
What could we be? And, you know, so I think, you know, some of the key decisions obviously have to be made by me, but I think a lot of the input that I've received from the team helped me identify who we want to be and who we could be. And, you know, and with anything, when you have your team working with you and you get your marching to the beat of the same drum, you can move mountains.
Yeah, yeah. And how did you begin this alignment? You came up with who you were, who you wanted to be. You determined who should be on the bus. And once you determined who should be on the bus, you determined where they should be placed on the bus. There had to have been some, I'm guessing, eye rolls. There had to have been some, oh, here we go again. There had to have been some, oh, it's the new guy, the new president, and this will wear off. There had to have been some pushback like that. And I'm wondering how, first, was there? And second, how did you overcome it?
There was a lot of pushback. Yeah, you know, I remember, just to give you some like a really, I'll never forget this. One of I made two hires pretty early on. And as you can imagine, when you're trying to create change, you have to be very intentional, especially when you're bringing in new personnel, because everyone's looking. They want to know, okay, what is Patrick's vision here with, you know, when we're bringing a new whatever person in whatever function it is. And so the first hire we brought in was she was more representative of what I knew we could be. And so when you're going through the change, they're outnumbered, right? When you have more of what you don't want into where you want to be.
Right.
And so I'll never forget, she came crying to me one day, just saying how just some of the feedback she was getting from others, because it was different, right? And it was different in a good way. And so that was a little bit of, before you can get everyone off the bus, you got to obviously make sure you have enough people on the bus to keep the thing functioning. And so there was a lot of that. So I would say the key is to build trust. You're going to go a little rogue because you're moving this organization along into new areas, right? And so you're bringing personnel in. So there was some resistance to others, but finding small little incremental wins where you can get them to see you, that you're doing the right thing for them and the organization, you get more buy-in. You know, again, it's change management, finding those early wins, and then you find the advocates within it and you leverage them.
Tell me, do you have a story, Patrick? Do you have a story on one of these little wins or how you found opportunities to build trust? I know my listeners, culture is such a big conversation in the workplace these days. And I actually am going to sit in on a session in a month from now with a guy who's coming to Mobile from Northwestern University to talk about culture. He travels the world talking about it. He says it's the strategic differentiator that we can copy. There are probably places out there that make similar hoses that yours, but the culture of the organization has a lot to do with the success of the sale and the attitude of the people. So there are listeners out there that saying, I want his recipe. Give me a sense, Patrick, of something that you may have done that built that trust that's so necessary to get this giant ball rolling.
Yeah, I can tell you what, and I would love, I'd share all this with the listeners too. I have a long list of things that we do that sound pretty tactical, but it's so funny. I talk to so many other business owners or just colleagues, and the recipe is so simple. I mean, at the end of the day, it's showing empathy for people and showing belonging. Helping them understand that they matter to us, right? These are, our team members directly and the families. They matter to us. We're here to help them be better people in life, right? So, our mission is to be relevant to our team members and our customers. They couldn't imagine success without us. And what we mean by that is, yeah, likely they could be successful, but our utopia as a business and my utopia is where people couldn't imagine being successful without us.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's like the overarching mission for when you think about building a culture of an organization. People want to belong to an organization where it has a family-like feel to it. Like the owners, the executives, the managers, their colleagues, peers, they feel connected and they're wanted to. You naturally appreciate and have high level, again, of empathy for what they are doing. And then you sprinkle in about empowering and enabling people. I mean, I think so many companies micromanage their people. I think you have a people problem then if you have to micromanage, because at the end of the day, you should hire people that naturally want to be better and they naturally want the company to be better. And if you kind of package it up with just making sure you're there to help them be a better person in life, it's pretty shocking on what they're going to do for you. And listen, and I don't want people to see that or hear that and think, oh, it's just weakness, like you're soft. There's a difference from being soft versus being supportive. I mean, we still make very difficult decisions. I mean, our team members still need to perform. They know what they need to do, but we also, we empower and enable them and give them the resources to be successful. When we have them, we want them to know that we're here to help them be better, right? And so
I think what you've said is a big part of it, is that you are helping them be better. And that is a theme that I've heard from the people that I've talked to about culture in their organizations, is that they're there to build their future. And I think one of the quotes I saw in the magazine article about you, on the Business Alabama magazine article, is you're trying to help them get to their future, the future they want versus the one you want for them.
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing that up. I failed to mention when we interview or I get a chance to engage with someone that is coming on board or looking to come on board, I want to know from them like what they want in life. Like, what do you want to do? And so I think it's important, right? When someone's interviewing, we're interviewing them and they're interviewing us, and it's a joint relationship of mutual success, if we're supporting them and they're supporting us. So what we created this the end of 2021. Career mapping program. And so it might be a common, I don't know if it's a common thing or not, but we created this program internally, and it's really around driving a conversation where, actually when we do these, they sit at my desk, they sit in my chair at my desk, and I sit on the couch with initial conversations with our director of HR, and we make it all about them. We want to know like what makes them happy, what are they really good at, tell us about, your family growing up? What are your
Patrick,
motivators?
I got to interrupt you so that we can go to break. I want to hear more of the questions that you ask in that, because I think that's a fascinating conversation. And I want to pick that up after break, which is the questions that you ask of them about their future. And it's not focused on your organization. It's focused on helping them. And I think that's a very strong thing, particularly with the youth in the workplace today. Let's pick that up. Let's pick that up after break. Patrick Werrlein's on the line with me, owner, president of the Sales and Service Center for Swagelok in Birmingham, Business Alabama's best place to work in the state of Alabama by Business Alabama magazine. We'll be right back.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Customer service never goes out of style. In fact, I think it's safe to say that customer service is more valuable and more important now more than ever. Hi, this is Cam Marston. One thing that my over 200 episodes of What's Working has taught me is how important customer service is to building and maintaining a thriving business. It's the growing need for customer service that's led me to partner with one of the state's leading customer service trainers to create our program called Delivering 5-Star Customer Service. Your team will get one 90-minute training session per month for 6 consecutive months. Each session builds on the skills learned the previous month, allowing your customer-facing teams to practice before moving on to the next lesson. And the 6 lessons address everything from appearance to electronic communications to conflict resolution to maintaining a service mindset. Our program travels and is delivered in person at your workplace, nothing virtual. You simply can't practice the level of the skills this course teaches virtually. For more information, email me, cam@cammarston.com, and let's schedule a time to talk. Remember, you have less to fear from outside competition than you do from discourtesy and bad service from inside your own company. Again, email me, cam@cammarston.com, and let's talk about your business. Business Alabama's January issue had the best places to work in the state of Alabama as selected by the Business Alabama magazine team. On the line with me is Patrick Werrlein. He was one of those winners. His company was one of those winners, Swagelok in Birmingham, where Patrick is the owner and president. We're listening to, or Patrick is telling us how he transformed this organization with the help of his team, of course, since, I said about 6 years ago when it wouldn't have qualified to today where they won. And it's a process of building, changing, enhancing culture. Patrick, we were talking about the questions you ask your applicants about themselves and their future and their careers and their goals, which is a strong move to say, hey, welcome, or we're not ready to hire you, but we want to know who you are and what you want to be down the road, not just about this company, but outside the company as well. Continue, if you will, Patrick, with those questions that you ask them.
Yeah, sure. And Kim, and maybe even to evolve that along a little, even after we've hired someone and they're on our team, we've created this program. The questions, some of the questions are embedded in the interview process too, but I think the real importance for us as an organization and for our team members is the alignment on career and what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of companies struggle with truly understanding what their team members want to do. And by the way, it may have changed since they were hired on 5 years ago, or whatever the number is. So our HR leader and I were talking one time, and we realized we don't really have a good mechanism to do that. So we created this career mapping program, and what it does, it allows us to put all the interest and focus on our team member through this, could be an hour and a half conversation typically. And we make it all about them, right? What their motivators in life and what they want to do, when they're happiest. And actually the real meat in all this is that through these conversations, we usually learn a lot about some things they want to do that we never knew about. And the output here is that we identify things with internally. Like, so for instance, if we're meeting with someone and they want to be a musician, well, Swagelok, we don't have any needs for musicians. And if they want to be a musician, I want to do everything I possibly can to get them to be a musician. Because that's, I think, my responsibility. And so this program is to identify, are they interested in something outside of our organization or within our organization? And if it's within, we're going to put together an action plan to help get them there. We want to set them up for success. And so that's the real meat in this, is we identify some actionable things that we can take in the near to midterm future and get their direct manager involved too. And it's just, again, it's a mechanism for us to be totally aligned to our team members and their careers. And I got to tell you, I've never felt more excited and connected to our team. We did in, I think, 2 quarters. So in 6 months, we did just about everyone on our team. And I just felt so much more connected. I felt like I knew where their head was and things that we can help them with. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Now, if there are tactics that the listeners out there going, hey, Patrick, I'm in. I believe in your system, but I need to know what exactly to do, what exactly to say. Are there some tactics that you can share that people can easily understand and incorporate into their own leadership style?
Of course. And I tell you, I give you a list of them, and I tell you, some of these maybe have been self-created. Some of these have been stolen shamelessly from other great organizations and things like that. And so your listeners may have heard some of these, but hopefully there's a nugget or two. I would say overarching for this is it's to show them and let them understand that you're investing in them as a person, whether it be at work or as an individual. And you really need to get to know them, right? So that's the first thing from a cultural standpoint, right? And show empathy and appreciation. I'll tell you what. So first things first is being spontaneous as an organization is, I think, very important.
Interesting.
When you roll out a program, you don't want it to be corporate-like, because I think people see through that. And they're like, all right, well, here we are. The organization is doing a check-the-box exercise just to have some sort of business outcome. So just be spontaneous. Don't overthink things, right? Be authentic. But I would say definitely make investments where they can see it and feel it. So for instance, I'll take you through a couple. Early on, when we decide, if someone's a good fit for us and we're a good fit for them, the week before they come on board, we send cookies to their house, like a welcome care package.
Yeah.
Now, from an organizational standpoint, now what you've done is you've entered into their house. They have spouses, they have family members, they see that, wow, what a great touch for an organization, right? We do, obviously, care packages when they come in, very thoughtful type of package for them. So their initial impression of the organization, you're starting off in the right spot. We do, speaking of getting into their houses and on more of a family side, we send birthday cards to any of our team members' kids with a gift card, 21 years or younger. We send it to their house. And I got to tell you, it's such a neat thing when you have one of their kids sends you a thank you note, or you find that every year they're waiting for that Swagelok birthday card to come in the mail. It's a connection piece, right? We do a car wash, right? Everyone in our organization has unlimited car washes, and you do monthly subscriptions to the local car wash, whatever it be. I can tell for your users, what that does is think about how often your team members are getting their car washed. And every time they go through the car wash, they think about the connectivity to the organization, and it shows appreciation. We are at an at-work office. It's just been my philosophy on things. So I try to create as fun of an environment here as we possibly can and have some, spontaneous things. But what we do on Fridays, everyone has their name in a bucket, and in the morning after our stand-up meeting, you pull someone's name out, and whoever's name gets pulled out, they get to leave 2 hours earlier in the day.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so it's spontaneous because you never know who it's going to be. But obviously, Cam, if you got pulled this Friday, we would pull your name out of the hat. You wouldn't go again until But everyone's around, and it's kind of fun just to see the excitement of them.
No
and from
kidding.
a business standpoint, it's 2 hours, right? So it doesn't have some minimal disruption on our business.
I'm going to interrupt you, Patrick, real quick and reset. Patrick Werrlein is on the phone with me, president and owner of Swagelok Sales and Service Center in Birmingham, winner of Business Alabama's Best Place to Work in the State of Alabama magazine's award this past year in the January issue. He's given us a very good list of tactics to do if you want to gradually, slowly, purposefully change the culture. I love that idea, Patrick, of pull a name out of the hat. You can leave early, 2 hours early. Love it. Keep going.
Yeah. So, and just along the lines of like leaving early, we decided to change our structure a little bit. And you know, it sounds minute, but for some companies out there, it's like, wow, we could do that pretty easily. We used to do like hour lunches, right? And we find that a lot of people don't necessarily need an hour for lunch. So you can work a 30-minute lunch and leave a half hour earlier. So now we find ourselves doing the 7 to 3:30, a 7:30 to 4, and an 8 o'clock to 4:30 shift. It's you know, in the winter months where it's, you know, getting dark early, it doesn't feel that great. But in the summertime, when you're leaving work at the latest at 4:30, you know, a half hour back in your day and you can beat some traffic might be a good thing. Other things are, you know, pretty simple. I mean, anyone that reads a business book, but you know, thank you notes and just thanking someone doesn't cost you a thing.
Yeah.
And it can have high impact. And so what I learned is you even put on a Post-it, just get a marker and just say, you know, hey, Cam, thanks for being awesome, you know, Patrick, whatever. And like what that does for someone, yeah, we take it for granted. It's the little things. You get it on your birthday month because it's your special day. You take a day off. Any day in the month of your birthday,
wow,
you get your day off. And yeah, look, you got to celebrate yourself, right? I always try to stay connected to every day. I'm very intentional. I walk around and just say hi to people. It's small talk. But I want to let them know I'm just interested. Hey, you know, how's your mom? How's your dad? You know, how are things going? Everything good? Just to be present with them, I think, is important.
Yeah.
This is another one that I think is pretty good to do because you can't always be top down. So we have a program where we have it's called Impressions or Extraordinary Behaviors. So this is it's an app that we have where you can do a peer-to-peer recognizing each other.
Yeah.
So if someone on the team saw someone else doing something that was an extraordinary behavior, they send them an impression and what it was, like, hey, teamwork or taking care of the customer, going above and beyond. And then every month we do a business update where we report out on the performance of the business. And those are always great too to keep everyone connected.
I want to interrupt you here real quick, Patrick. We're coming to the end of the segment. And I want to interrupt you real quick. It sounds like you have so many more. There's a couple that have stood out to me that I want to accentuate, I guess. And that is one of them. And I've had two other guests on the show in the past, let's say 2 years, who've developed remarkable cultures. They both are very deliberate about including employees' families in so much of what they do. Recognition, celebration, the birthday card for the kids that you said is remarkable. I think that's just great. And the second one is empathy. The fact that you are a big proponent of it. There are many people, I suspect, listening that think empathy is for the weak. And what you've proven is that empathy has created loyalty, hard work, and then won you a prestigious award. I'm proud of you, Patrick. I'm thrilled for your success.
Thank you. Yes, empathy is key because it's also cross-functional support and understanding is key.
So we're coming to the end of the segment, Patrick. I want people, if they are interested in more or they want to look into your business, it's something I want every one of the guests on this show to do. How can people find you? Would you be, quickly give a way for them to find you if they want to check you out further?
Sure. Well, obviously LinkedIn. That's always an easy one. But our website is alfl.swagelok, SWAGELOK.com.
Patrick, it's been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you, Cam. And if any of your listeners want to email me directly, feel free to. More than happy to help.
Find you online. Patrick Werrlein, folks, owner, president, Sales Service Center, Swagelok, Birmingham, Business Alabama, small to medium-sized business, best places to work in the state of Alabama, award winner. We'll be back after this break with segment 5, talking about what's upcoming and some takeaways from Patrick. This is Cam Marston in the studio with Cajun Mike. Cajun Mike, what's going on at E3 Pest Control? What you guys doing today that's different?
Well, what we're doing different is we are treating homes that have spray foam installation. and we're able to give them a full bond, whereas other companies are not able to.
How does the treatment work with the spray foam?
Basically, we spray the spray foam with Bore Care. Bore Care absorbs into the spray foam. It prevents termites from landing on it and creating an above-ground carton.
Is there any restrictions or limits to how you can do this, or is it any home with spray foam?
Basically, any home with spray foam.
How do they find you, Cajun Mike?
Find me at 251-850-7378 or e3pest.com.
That's e3pest.com. We're back. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. Great thank you to Patrick Werrlein. Big thank you for his willingness to share so much of his conversation or so much of his experience. And, what I heard, and I think this is often overlooked in our business world today, but what I heard from Patrick was some admissions of vulnerability. And though that term, I don't think that term was ever used in our conversation, he was very willing to say, here's what was wrong. And here's the mistakes that we made and things that we learned along the way. He talked a lot about empathy. And within empathy, we often get compassion. And another value, I think, in the workplace today that's easier to find than it used to be, but still hard to find, is vulnerability. And when I lead these workshops, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, and I've got managers in front of me, I'm very clear to say to them, listen, guys, ladies, whomever it may be, it's worse in the guys than with the women. You need to be vulnerable. And it doesn't mean crying. It means simply letting your people see a little bit of your soul, who you really are. No one likes somebody that lives this way. But all of us are compelled by someone that takes off the mask, that removes the facade for a very short amount of time and lets people around them know who they really are and what's really important to them. And like I said, there are people that live this way all the time, and I think they can become burdensome, tedious. But when you show that vulnerability from time to time, you develop followers. And there's no question about it. And I would say it's even more important today with a job market where people can go nearly anywhere to find a job, a pretty good job. And I think it's even more important today with the young workforce, call them the Gen Zs, the millennials, particularly the youngest ends of the millennials, who want to be compelled by who and for whom they work for, the company as well as the boss. So vulnerability is one that I would add to Patrick's list. I think that's very important. And I think he was very sincere. He and I spoke after the interview was over. If there are people that need his insights, his help, there are people that want to hear his story. If you're a group of business owners, particularly in the Birmingham area, and I can't exactly volunteer Patrick for this, but particularly in the Birmingham area that say, hey, we meet, we have coffee, whether it's a formal or informal thing, we have lunch once a month. How about coming and sitting with us? These are lessons that we could learn. My sense is that Patrick's all in on helping other people, which is another part of the culture of these organizations that tend to be doing so well. So, Patrick Werrlein, if you're still listening, if you're going to listen to this broadcast as it happens, this podcast as it's downloaded, I'm grateful for your story and your willingness to talk to us the way that you did. Congratulations on your award. Business Alabama, I know, was very proud to feature you. Congratulations. When I called up to Business Alabama and said, you got a story for me, they said Patrick Werrlein, and I'm and Swagelok, and I'm grateful for it. This point in the show is kind of the self-promotional stuff. And we say, don't find me on Facebook and find me on LinkedIn and find me on Twitter, though I don't actually use it all that much. Find me on TikTok, though I've very seldom ever used that. But connect with us if you would, please. Let us know what you're thinking. If you've got a story or an interview that you think I need to know about, a very compelling business story that's somewhat non-traditional, I'm very curious. Please send them my way. You can find it at cammarston.com, and you can click around there to find What's Working radio show, and there's a place to reach out to me directly. also, and I feel sheepish doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway because this is what people smarter than me have suggested. If you're looking for a speaker for your next association meeting or your annual company event or whatever, this show has given me such great content to talk about the trends shaping today's workplace, workforce, and marketplace. Whether they be the most current recruiting or retention tactics to how to best sell your product or services, my presentations for the past 20 some odd years have met or exceeded my clients' goals every time. I promise immediately actionable content and lots and lots and lots of humor. I laugh at myself. I laugh at the different people in the workplace. I make sure everyone gets equal opportunity ribbing. What's Working is brought to you, is produced rather, by John Thompson with Eye on Digital. We'll have another show next week. Have a good week, everybody.